Welcome to the Rileys. Well, I don't know what that means. I guess welcome to their world. That's why I didn't want the apostrophe on the S. It's not possessive. It's not exclusive. It's inclusive.
Everybody that's come to this project has come to this project out of a love for the project.
Our company was reading, hundreds of scripts. And this project stood in a class of its own.
But our company was set up that we weren't really looking for like the small independent drama, so we passed on it and we thought that was the end of it. But we had scheduled a meeting and we sat in the room for about 2.5 hours and listened to Jake talk about this script. And then we realized here's a person that wants to tell the story the way we would tell the story if we were doing it ourselves. And we decided we were going to fund the movie before we left the room.
Here, does this make it worth your while?
Wow. It just spoke to me, and it meant something to me, and I wanted to tell a story that meant something to me.
This idea was inspired by a visit here. A friend of mine was getting married. A group of us went into a notorious strip joint on Bourbon Street, and on one of the stages was this girl who looked like she was 15 or 16 years old.
How old are you?
How old do I look?
15?
You just wanted to cover up with your jacket. And I was curious about her, so I had to make up a story to explain.
I read Ken's script, the first draft, and I fell in love with the characters.
But as clever as I can be on the page, that doesn't matter. It's how they can make those words come to life.
I thought, wow, I can't picture Tony Soprano, playing this businessman.
I was open-minded, and he was very passionate about the project. And I met with him, and within 10 minutes I knew that this was the guy to play Doug.
Doug Riley is a guy that comes from Indianapolis to New Orleans, and being New Orleans changes and starts to exert different behavior than he normally would, and chaos ensues.
We came to the set the first day looking for Tony Soprano to deliver his lines. And one of the first scenes was James on a telephone, and I could hear it through my headset, and I heard the dialogue go back and forth, and I looked over to Scott and I was like, who's reading James's lines to Kristen? And he said, that's James. And I swung around, and there was James on the cell phone in this voice that I never expected. And I was really, really amazed.
All right, calm down. Where are you?
He's got such a softer side in this movie. He smiles differently in this movie. It's crazy. He has like a completely different smile.
James is an amazing actor. He's an amazing character actor, and this is a chance for that amazing character actor to do something totally different, a complete departure from what he's known for.
I'm Mallory. What's your name?
I had a night out with Sean Penn in San Francisco. He mentioned Kristen Stewart. He'd just finished Into the Wild, and that was still being edited. And I looked into her a bit more, and then when I went and saw Into the Wild as soon as it came out, and loved the film, and when she came on screen, as soon as I came out of the cinema, I called all the various people I needed to call to find out if she was available, could we meet with her. And
with Kristen, I was so unfamiliar with her work. Twilight hasn't come out yet. I had no idea what to expect, and that was exciting. That was really exciting that we got to create a chemistry and something completely fresh.
It's always been a very intimidating project because I play a girl who's entirely damaged just before the point of no return. And that's when we catch her.
So get up, get dressed, get in the shower, brush your teeth. Let's go. Let's go.
I talked to a lot of girls, some that worked in the club that I'm working at. These girls, they think that they've been hurt so badly that nobody else can hurt them anymore. Oh, you do whatever you want to me, I'm fine.
That club.
She brings
that's stupid. That's really stupid.
I'm really
that soulfulness and just a realism that very few young actresses have. There are so many famous young girls in Hollywood, but how many of them could actually pull this role off? I don't really know who else can at this moment.
Mallory, this is my wife, Lois. Mallory. Lois, hold up.
No.
Hold up, Lois. Come on, come here. Come here.
You're crazy.
All right.
This
Calm
is
down,
insane.
Calm down.
She's just a child.
People compliment me quite often on my choice of roles, my very fine choice of roles. I have to correct them and say I don't choose the roles, they choose me.
I've always really thought she was a contender for Lois, and you know, schedule and various other things prevented it from looking like it was a possibility. And it wasn't until very recently that we actually were able to bring her on.
This got dropped in my lap just a few weeks before I came down to New Orleans to start working with Jake and everybody. And about 15 pages into the script, I was just so happy. My heart leapt from my chest. They're asking me to play this role.
You feel all right?
Feel all right.
It's a very dramatic role. She has to communicate a lot and have a very intense kind of arc to her character, and we just believe that Melissa would be the best person that we could get for that.
We have a lovely dialect coach here to help us at least come close to this very unusual Indiana sound.
You gonna sit out here all night?
Just smoking a cigarette.
Wish you wouldn't smoke in the house.
Well, I'm not in the house. I'm in the garage.
Some of her most powerful moments, she's utterly silent. There is no dialogue. It is pure behavior. But because she's got this down, or she's got this heart of the character down, it resonates. It's like this bass note. And even after the string has been plucked, you're still feeling the rumble of that note.
I tend to be one of those who draws everything and wants to control everything, and I've actually let that go because I don't think you can do that with emotion.
Jake has really turned out to be the perfect person to be telling the story. I mean, he's not exploitive in any way. I mean, I'm doing a movie about a stripper. It's not about that, though.
It's a very emotional piece, you know, so in that sense, you have to really respect the actor's space. You have to be very mindful of the work they're doing.
In my first few days here in New Orleans, when we were still in pre-production, Jake gave me 2 little round magnets. And he talks about the magnetic pull of Lois to Doug from all the way up in the northern part of the country to all the way down here in one of the most southern parts of the country, pulled magnetically back to her husband. And I've played now for 4 weeks with these little magnets. They're fascinating. If you take them and you drop them free-falling, close enough together, they'll come together before they hit the ground. If you turn them, if both of them turn, they will push away from each other. And if both of them turn, they will come back together. It was a brilliant device for the director to give me to work with. I use it a lot in what we've shot so far.
I've kind of scored the film in terms of its phrases or movements. I like to call them phrases. They're beats of the films, and there are 5. And it's a map. Right now we're working on the very beginning of the 5th phrase of the film, the 5th and final beat of the film. And I'm working with openness. And so I know that no matter what the actors do, as long as I get a sense of openness from Doug and a sense of understanding and listening from Lois, and Mallory at the end, she has grown, she's listening, and so everybody, there's an opening at the end of the film.
I miss you. That means anything to you.
I miss you, too.
New Orleans is a very special place in America. It's a lot of individuals banding together in one eccentric, beautiful little town. I love it here.
You know, Jake wanted the whole real feel of what everything was, and it is, it's real. Of course, when the city flooded, the National Guard, the Army units, whoever was around, they went around and checked every single house, and they would put the X, and the X, basically, it was a catalog of what the status of the house was, and his are still on his house, he hasn't changed it. There's a house around the corner that actually made the markings out of metal and mounted it above the markings that are on the house, and it became a relief type thing, and it became artwork. It's something all of us that live here will remember forever.
The story doesn't really have a beautiful set ending. It's kind of ambiguous, and it's the way life would be, I think.
And so this story is about, you know, these two people who have been dealt this terrible blow and have to somehow overcome it so that they can learn to love and live again.
These people wear their war wounds, and in so many ways that's what this movie is about, is these people that have gone through war and hell in their lives, and instead of running and hiding, just coming to face what's wrong and accept it.